Adoption laws were flouted, newborns were stolen and children were illegally sold to families outside India. The dark underbelly of child trafficking operating from the soil of West Bengal now stands exposed. If sources are to be believed, the investigating agency, which in this case is CID of West Bengal, they have found leads suggesting involvement of two other BJP leaders in this case. They are Rupa Ganguly and Kailash Vijayvargiya.
तो 8 साल से हो या 10 साल से हो या कितने भी साल से हो, राज्य सरकार सो तो नहीं रहे थे, तो उनको कुछ पता नहीं चला. हर चीज़ का जवाब देने की ज़रूरत मैं समझती हूँ. जुडिशरी है, इतनी घिनौनी चार्ज हम पर लगाए जा रहे हैं, हमारी जूही पर लगाए जा रहे हैं, इतनी छोटी लड़की पर ये भुगतना पड़ेगा उनको.
मुझे लगता है कि अगर इसमें कोई भारतीय जनता पार्टी का कार्यकर्ता अगर इन्वॉल्व होगा अगर, तो निश्चित रूप से हम लोग उसके खिलाफ कार्रवाई भी करेंगे और हम उसके साथ खड़े नहीं होंगे. पर पश्चिम बंगाल की सरकार पर हमें विश्वास नहीं है.
तृणमूल हमारा केंद्रीय नेता को कीचड़ उछाड़ने का कोशिश कर रहा है, इसलिए उन लोगों का पाप भारतीय जनता पार्टी के ऊपर थोपने का एक प्रयास कर रहा है. लेकिन देश में कानून है, अदालत है, हमारा पूरा विश्वास है ये जो तृणमूली सारी साजिश ये उभर के सामने आ जाएगा.
It's good that the police has now taken action, and it also has to be seen that how the BJP leadership, they are attempting to misuse their position at the center and trying to support different illegal activities. But at the same time, the main accused remains to be very much part of the Trinamool Congress.
Well, it has become now about the politics of the Trinamool Congress versus the BJP. But let's, viewers, set aside the politics for a little while and consider the problem that we're dealing with right now. The CID in Bengal, in its investigation, found out that there was a nexus in the entire state, a nexus that involved the officer in charge of child protection in the district of Darjeeling, several NGOs who were in charge of children who were orphans, several doctors and hospitals who were creating fake death certificates for newborns, and some members of the political system. This is what was happening. All of these people together were stealing children who were either orphans or were declared dead. Those children were then being sold. There was a rate card of how much a fair girl would fetch in the market, how much a dark girl child would fetch in the market, how much a boy child would fetch in the market. Children from ages 0 to 14 were being sold, some to parents who were adopting them overseas, some into some form of slavery, and they were being shipped out of the country. Children were being sold by the people who were in charge of looking after their safety and their rights. It is a horrible, horrible case to be faced with. And unfortunately, that case right now has become a mudslinging match between political parties who are distracting from the problem that this is happening at all. All of them should be embarrassed. The state government, the central government, and anybody in the bureaucracy working for child's rights should be embarrassed that they allowed this to happen, and they should be losing their jobs. Instead of every time we bring it up, all we hear is so-and-so is just taking advantage of their positions and so-and-so is just creating a story to make us look bad. We don't care about how bad you look on either side of this case, and we don't care about the politics. We care that little human beings who have no ability to speak for themselves and defend themselves were being sold like objects without rights. And that's unfortunately the story we bring to you tonight, viewers, of what's happening in Bengal and why the numbers are so horribly bad. Joining us on the show this evening, Fuad Halim of the CPIM, Anjali Pawar, director of an NGO called Shakti against child trafficking, will join us from Pune in a little while. Brinda Adige is an activist who works for child and women's rights. Vikram Singh, former DGP UP. Puja Marwaha is the CEO of Child's Rights and You, joining us in the Mumbai studio. Puja, I don't want, like I've said before, I don't want to talk about the politics, but you have before you the numbers of child trafficking. And Bengal, particularly as a state, the numbers are shocking because obviously something is horribly wrong in Bengal.
Yeah, we have looked at the data of just missing children, and West Bengal unfortunately tops this list with almost 26% of the total missing children coming from West Bengal. The other states, of course, are Maharashtra, Delhi, Andhra Pradesh, and I'm talking about data that is national, and we are seeing the large percentage of these girls, but there are also boys, and our work is telling us that these children are being sold for the most heinous purposes, which seem to range from, of course, the sex trade and pornography, to domestic labor, to slavery. In fact, a lot of them are also being sold overseas for, as you've heard of the camel races. So there is a slave market through which these children are passing. And the key source states seem to be West Bengal, Assam, Bihar, and Odisha.
I want to put this number up on your list one more time. I just want you to look at it here. This is the number of cases reported of child trafficking in the country. It's on your screen. In 2011, it was 3,500 cases. In 2015, it's gone up to 6,877 cases. How do we live in a country where something as heinous as human trafficking has been increasing over the last 4 years? What are we doing wrong?
So across the world, human trafficking has increased so much so that we know that the UN has now passed protocols. India has, of course, signed these protocols in 2011 against human trafficking. And India is being seen as this easy source increasingly, where while there are some laws that have been put in place, and I wouldn't say they haven't, but the implementation is so loose, as you've seen in this case. For example, the child welfare committees we're talking about, are we aware that these are actually voluntary? Yeah, anybody can sort of volunteer and be put there. A rank amateur.
So
can
what
be
is their
put.
motivation to be in a position where they control the future of children?
Of children, and some of them are, of course, very good. You know, they are volunteering for the right reasons, but a lot of them are not.
I want to point this out, and I'll bring in Brinda Adige here. Brinda, the people who were arrested by the CID in this case, the Darjeeling District Child Protection Officer, Mrinal Ghosh, the District Child Welfare Committee member, Devashish Chandra, the arrest of Juhi Chowdhury, state BJP women's wing leader. From what we understand, there were reports that apparently she would fix any problem that the racket ran into if they ran into a problem. That was her role. The chief adoption officer for Children's Home and the person's brother. They have all been charged with selling about 17 children between the ages of 1 and 14 to foreigners by entering into shady deals. Brinda Adige, the people in charge of these children were selling them. Our system is broken. Our governments are broken, Brinda.
We know that human trafficking is a highly organized crime, which means that there is connivance at various levels by various cadre of people. And this particular case shows you so clearly that the system is not simply broken, but it is also rotten. The system, people who are there supposedly to protect children, people who are being paid by the taxpayers' money, have no qualms to continue to do these kind of things because there is no fear of the law. This fear of the law will come only when action is stringent. We have seen that political members are involved in it. This is so that even if there is a case filed, they will fix it, like you put it. And everybody is scared of politicians, people in power, people with influence. But at the end of the day, we know that human trafficking, selling children, selling women, is profiteering from human misery. And this human misery is not looked at by anybody. Certainly not the system, and certainly not by the people in governance.
Right,
and this is
I want to
we
bring
need
in
to challenge.
Dilip Kumar Ghosh is a member of the BJP, represents the BJP in Kolkata. He joins us on the phone line right now. Mr. Ghosh, thank you for joining us. आपने अभी सुना ये चाइल्ड ट्रैफिकिंग केस के बारे में, जिसमें बीजेपी के एक मेंबर को अरेस्ट किया गया है, विमेंस विंग के मेंबर को. बीजेपी का क्या रिस्पांस है अभी इसके बारे में?
देखिए, ये जो केस जो है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का जो सोशल वेलफेयर डिपार्टमेंट के पास जो खबर आया कि यह कुछ अनियमितता हो रही है, इसलिए उन्होंने यहाँ की वेस्ट बंगाल गवर्नमेंट को इस बारे में जानकारी दी, इंक्वायरी करने के लिए बोला. तब यहाँ के जो सोशल वेलफेयर डिपार्टमेंट सीआईडी को बोला, उन्होंने इंक्वायरी किया, तब ये सारा मामला सामने आया. जिस पार्टिकुलर केस को लेते हुआ है, पहले पिछले 3 महीना 4 महीना से घटना हो रहा है, कई होम को बंद किया गया है जहां से इस प्रकार इरेगुलर होता था. तो जलपाईगुड़ी डिस्ट्रिक्ट का एक होम जहां की घटना सबसे सामने आई है, उसमें चलाने वाली एक चंदना चक्रवर्ती करके महिला थी, काफी साल से चला रहे. उसमें सरकारी लोग भी, डीएम तक इन्वॉल्व थे, लोकल पॉलिटिशियंस और लोग भी इसमें इन्वॉल्व थे. कभी पेपर में आया कि ये नॉर्थ बंगाल की मादा टेरेसा, इस प्रकार मीडिया में आया उनके बारे में, लेकिन ये कॉन्ट्रोवर्शियल थी, जानते थे सब लोग. तो संयोग से उनके साथ हमारे एक कार्यकर्ता जूही जो है वो दिल्ली गई, किसी कारण से भी हो, इतना ही है एफआईआर में लिखा हुआ कि उनके साथ सेंट्रल किसी डिपार्टमेंट में कांटेक्ट करने के लिए वो गई थी. इसी आधार पर उन पर केस और उनका अरेस्ट किया गया. और इसको लेके बाकी जो मीडिया में चर्चा हो रहा है, लेकिन घटना तो बहुत गंभीर है, बच्चों का हुआ है.
दिलीप घोष, मिस्टर घोष, a member of the BJP, Juhi Chowdhury of the state BJP's women's wing has been arrested, sir, in connection to selling children.
Yes.
This is not politics.
पहली बात तो उनके ऊपर जो एफआईआर हुआ है उसमें कहीं पर ये नहीं कि उन्होंने सेल किया है.
हाँ.
जो होम चलाती है उनके साथ अभी उनका संपर्क आया है, और शायद सरकार के डिपार्टमेंट में कोई काम के लिए वो उनके साथ गई है दिल्ली. इतना ही उनका साथ जो इंफॉर्मेशन है, इतना ही है. ना होम के साथ जुड़ा हुआ है, ना कोई कमेटी में उनका नाम है, ना कोई डॉक्यूमेंट है. क्योंकि ये पॉलिटिकलाइज किया गया है केसेस को, और बीजेपी को इसमें जोड़ने के लिए ये एक प्रकार साजिश है. और जो एफआईआर,
this is a political conspiracy. This is a political conspiracy according to you. Dilip Ghosh is saying this is a political conspiracy. Fuad Halim of the CPIM. Unfortunately, we're talking about children being sold into slavery, which is now turning into a political conspiracy, Fuad.
No, I would like to make a comment slightly different from what has been discussed. And my comment is very clearly that child trafficking and kidnapping and falsification of certificates, like giving a certificate like a child is dead while ensuring that the child is removed from the country, is something that is already there in the constitution and our legal system. But if you look at what is happening, it actually calls for an absolutely new law in the country, because the act that actually allows for the subsequent what you call crimes to be committed of trafficking and falsification of certificate actually begins at the incident where a newborn has been plucked from his mother's bosom, his or her mother's bosom, and then the mother is told that the child is dead, and the child is actually shipped off. Now this is a new crime which does not have a contemplation in our constitution and in our criminal code. Now this has to be focused in. We have to get a new very strong law. You know, you can kidnap a 5-year-old child, you can kidnap a 10-year-old child, you can kidnap a 13-year-old child, but they can survive without their mother's milk. Here we know that the fundamental question of a newborn to survive over the first few what you call months he or she requires the mother's milk. And if you are taking away the child from the bosom of a mother, you are not only kidnapping the child, you are actually exposing that child.
You know, I understand the point you're making. I understand the point you're making. But as far as I'm concerned, snatching any child from a parent and selling that child into slavery is as heinous a crime as a crime can be. Whether that child is a newborn or that child is 13 years old, selling that child into sexual slavery or any other kind of slavery is already heinous and is very clear is illegal and against the law. So if you're asking for a more stringent law as far as newborns are concerned, I understand what you're saying. But the point here is that for some reason, in the state of Bengal, things have gotten so horribly bad, Fuad. Things have gotten so horribly bad that the numbers have gone up 600%. 600%. I will bring in Anjali Pawar, who joins us from Pune. Anjali, आपने अभी भी सुना बीजेपी का कहना है कि ये this is a political conspiracy. The CPIM says that we need to have stronger laws. What is the problem, Anjali? Why are we talking about, you know, the fact that people are selling children and these people are part of the government?
Yeah, it's not. If you look into history, if you'll go in behind 1984, when this new case was filed in Supreme Court, Justice Bhagwati took that case, and it came up as a 1994 as a Kara and Kara guidelines and all those things. That time it was a Kolkata where this scam was exposed first. This IMH, its legalized adoption agency, was caught into that, and then actually Supreme Court wanted to make all these things legalized, but there was no proper law for that. They only regularize this trafficking. And even now also in today's case, JJ Act is repealed and they added this section of adoption where they put some things, some criminal conspiracy, some criminal things into that and less punishment. But I also filed, being Advait Foundation and Sakhi, we filed in Supreme Court one PIL where we asked that there should be moratorium on this adoption till the time there is no strict law on adoption. But Supreme Court wants to follow this JJ Act, and as per JJ Act rules and regulations and Kara guidelines, we proved every time this Pune scam, Kolkata scam, Chennai scam, everywhere. Even I'm not talking only about illegal adoption, I'm talking about legalized adoption where children were sold by adoption agencies showing fake documents and giving them in adoption in foreign countries. So Chennai is proof there, CBI investigation happened, Pune is proof, CBI investigation is still going on, matters is still going on. And Kolkata was the first where this scam was exposed. So we really need, it's not about any political party or something like that. Every time when this scam exposed, political parties are giving support to all these accused. That's what I'm clearly saying, because every time I saw that. And our system needs to change. People are thinking adoption is the best thing. Let orphanages having a good home for them. But are we really thinking that children are orphan? This newborn, the way they were taking out from these families, and even even Chennai also. Now Madurai recently, in fact, Madurai, then Mysore.
Yes,
this scam is still going on. I talked to Mysore SP. And in this case, I want to specifically talk, CID, CBI, police are arresting only those accused who are selling babies. But they are not touching those people who are buying them. What action the CBI,
what action are we taking against those people who are buying the babies? That's a good point. But let me just go back to Dilip Kumar Ghosh. One second. Let me go back to Dilip Kumar Ghosh.
Giving those children to those people who purchase them.
Let me go back to Dilip Kumar Ghosh. Dilip Kumar Ghosh, we've heard that Juhi Chowdhury and her father Ravindranath have both been removed for their posts for an indefinite period, and they have been booked. They have been booked under the Indian Penal Code sections 370 for trafficking and exploitation, 420 for cheating, 486 for forgery, and Juhi Chowdhury was absconding for 10 days before this arrest. Mr. Ghosh, if she is innocent, if this is a sadish, if this is a political conspiracy, why was she absconding? And how have they been booked if you think that there was no evidence against them other than the fact that they had had one conversation?
देखिए, यहाँ मेरे नाम पर हर रोज एक केस होता है. मैं यहाँ कलकत्ता में बैठा हूँ, मिदनापुर में केस हो जाता है. तो यहाँ वेस्ट बंगाल की पॉलिटिक्स ऐसे ही चलती है. और करप्शन यहाँ काफी जोर से शारदा मामला से लेकर के नारदा ऑपरेशन तक सब हुआ है। तो एक चलता है, एक दूसरी बात है। लेकिन जिन लोगों के बारे में आप बोल रही हैं, इनके नाम पर एफआईआर में धारा तो लगा दिया गया है, लेकिन कोई डॉक्यूमेंट एविडेंस नहीं है। इसलिए मेरा कहना है ये जो
तो उनको बुक कैसे किया मिस्टर घोष, उनको बुक कैसे किया और उनको अपनी पोजीशन से निकाला क्यों?
निकाला इसलिए कि इस प्रकार जो घटना हुआ इससे उनका नाम जुड़ गया, और हमारी पार्टी का अंदरूनी मामला कि वो बिना बताए क्यों दिल्ली गए, हमको बिना बताए, इसलिए इनडिसिप्लिन है, इसलिए उनको हमने पद से मुक्त कर दिया।
उनको मुक्त कर, उनको पार्टी से निकाला है आपने?
निकाला नहीं, पद से मुक्त कर दिया। उनका जो पोस्ट था, पोस्ट से उनका अलग किया है, पार्टी से नहीं निकाला है। जब तक वो दोषी प्रमाणित नहीं होता है तब तो हम नहीं निकाल सकते हैं।
विक्रम,
हर रोज इस प्रकार पॉलिटिकल केस होता है।
Vikram Singh, is this true that there is a political case against a member of a political party almost every day, and there should be no stock placed in this, even after they have been booked by the CID under sections 370, 420 and 468?
It doesn't seem so simple, Faye, for the first reason that unless you have some cogent and convincing evidence, an FIR would never be lodged. Presuming, as the political friends say, that it is a fake FIR, then have you taken recourse to section 182 of the IPC, which says that if a fake FIR has been lodged against you or me or anybody, then you can take recourse to 182 of the IPC, get the FIR expunged and prosecute those who lodged a malicious and a frivolous and a false FIR against any individual. Has that recourse been taken? Obviously not, because there is more to it than what meets the eye. Under these circumstances, we have seen what happened to Prajapati in UP and what happened to so many others elsewhere. This is the weakest defense that people take, that since I am in politics, I have been maliciously framed in this FIR. If it is be so true, then go and get your bail, anticipatory or otherwise. I can assure you, no court is going to give them any relief whatsoever. That is why there is no surrender and there is no appearance before any court, because they are fully aware no court in India will give them any relief in view of the very serious charges and incontrovertible evidence against them, and therefore they choose to go underground.
Vikram Singh, what is your reaction to the information that in this particular case, Juhi Chowdhury, member of the BJP, was absconding for 10 days when the police were looking for her? They found her almost in another, she was ready to cross the border into another state in the northeast. If this was a false FIR, if there was no evidence against her, if this was a political conspiracy, would she be on the run?
Absconding is an admission of guilt in a way. If you are so sure about your innocence, you should have taken an attorney and gone and surrendered before a court of law. You did not do that. Obviously, it is an admission of guilt because you choose to run away. And there is indeed, the more the investigation proceeds, the more unsavory facts will come out. The nexus between criminals, the crime syndicates, the bureaucracy and the politicians. This is exactly the ingredient of a mafia and a hardcore crime syndicate operating. So in that case, these people should understand that it is a politician who gave them a front, who gave them some kind of a legitimacy, and now they have a lot of explaining to do. Absconding is almost admission of guilt.
Fuad Halim, the BJP has removed these two people from this particular person, Juhi Chowdhury, from her position. Should they have done more? Should they have removed them from the BJP altogether if they were sending out a clear message?
Well, it's very clear that in the earlier incident, it was uncovered that in November, the TMC people were involved in the child racket. And now we are seeing that the Bharatiya Janata people are associated with the child racket. And we've seen that both these political organizations have muted their attacks on the question of child trafficking and child abduction on each other. The BJP is now not finding any more fault with the TMC regarding the incident that was uncovered in November. And the TMC has lost its voice as far as the Bharatiya Janata Party's involvement in the present case is concerned. So we do know that the political organizations here, especially of the BJP and TMC variety, they have their hands in the till. They have been caught red-handed because their members have been exposed, they have been arrested, and the investigating authorities have taken cognizance of that. But the core question is whether these investigations will actually lead to the logical conclusion. one has to understand that in West Bengal, the TMC and the BJP are actually playing a game of hide and seek on all investigations, whether it be Narada, Sharada, and I see no reason why one should have confidence that the little children who have been abducted and trafficked from here in West Bengal are going to get justice just because the TMC and the BJP are going to allow the investigating authorities to proceed normally. I think so. This is going to be used to a bargaining chip between these two organizations, and we are already seeing evidence of that coming about. The TMC in Bengal is absolutely silent on the BJP's involvement in this child trafficking case,
Puja,
and they are getting the support from the BJP on the previous case. Now that's how unfortunate a way in which politics has degenerated. I come to the core question which I earlier raised. I think so the constitution itself, our legal system, is deficient in understanding the crime that is being perpetrated when a newborn is plucked from the bosom of its mother. I think so. It
Point taken. Point taken. In fact,
the mother of all crimes.
Puja, how often?
Its punishment should be commensurate to that.
Puja, how often when you come across these trafficking cases and investigations, is there a political higher up sort of making roots or solving problems or fixing problems, in these cases? How likely is it that this is purely conspiracy?
So, I don't think that it's political. What we have seen is that there are people in power inevitably involved, especially in child trafficking, which is so lucrative. So the entire system, from the police, it could be local politicians, it could be local criminals, to the traffickers themselves, to the brothels where they are sold. Everybody is involved and has a huge cut. So this is a very underground trade, so to speak. It's very hidden. We believe that if we really want to stop this, and we have the laws to do it. For example, in this case, here is a CWC, right, which is in charge of the children. Now, if you'd had a tighter system of MIS, where you were tracking each child that comes to a CWC, today I dare you, even as a media person, to go across the country and you will not be able to find the data. If we had a tighter MIS and a system that tracked each children, then these children would not be so vulnerable. People like this would not be able to pick them out of the system and sell them.
Yes.
So there is a whole lot of things that we can do, even in today's law, to be able to tighten this. Resource it better, get better trained people, ensure that your CWC members are qualified to be CWC members. They are really concerned about children,
right,
and tighten the systems
but
around
how do you
children.
How do you solve for the problem of the fact that there are members of political parties, members of government, officers who basically have their jobs not because someone is doing a background screening on them, or what they're doing effectively is misusing their power? Brinda Adige, and I'm reading a report on this that said that it was a nexus of doctors and quacks and nursing home staff members that were involved in this racket, where basically children were taken away from their parents after they were born. There was one doctor by the name of Santosh Samantha of Sri Krishna Nursing Home, who is entrusted with the job of preparing death certificates for these infants. So these mothers would be told that your child was stillborn or your child is dead. The doctor would make 60,000 rupees on each sale. That was his cut for creating false death certificates. These were handed over to these mothers, and then the children were sold. And from what we understand, reports coming in from Kolkata, was once the CID began investigating this, children turned up in dustbins and the side of drains because the people who were holding these children in the pipeline wanted to get rid of them. They didn't want to be found with evidence. This is the kind of horrendous racket we're talking about, Brinda, and it's happening, let's be honest, it's happening because there are people higher up right now who are supporting it, who are benefiting from the misery of little newborn children.
Absolutely, there is no doubt about it. It may not be all the time political, but there is a political nexus. We have already mentioned that this is a highly organized group of mafia. Highly organized. There is no way anybody can say that there is only one section or one part of the society that is involved in it. And for this, they have thought of everything. And this influence and power is what that gives them the impunity that nobody is going to complain against them. And even if somebody complains, there is no way a case may be lodged or registered against these people. And we know that it is profiteering from human misery, servitude and slavery. It does not matter whether it is 60,000 or 6,000, everybody is involved in it. And political parties' nexus is quite deep, because we know that they are the ones today with that much of power and that much of clout, and the system is unwilling to register and take every case to its logical conclusions. And this is what we need to be looking at today.
In fact, I want to ask Vikram Singh this question. Vikram Singh, the BJP's accusation basically right now that the FIR is entirely fake suggests that the CID that's investigating this particular case can be influenced by the state government. In your experience as DGP of Uttar Pradesh, do you think this is likely?
There's a very remote possibility of this happening because it's a very serious crime with tremendous ramifications. And you must understand that there is a system, we have a very vibrant judicial system. There's a lower court, there's the High Court and the Supreme Court. It is not just that the TMC government of West Bengal would be the dispenser of the entire justice. The lower judiciary can seldom be compromised. I don't say it is infallible, but it can once in a while be compromised. There are cases, but I doubt if the High Court and the Supreme Court can be compromised. I have absolute and implicit faith in the dispensation of justice from the High Court and the Supreme Court. Therefore, if a lower court ventures, is hazardous and careless enough to dispense a lopsided or a perverse judgment, this can always be rectified by the Honorable High Court and the Supreme Court.
Right, let me bring in.
Yes, not just.
I would like to say something in this regard, because all these adoption agencies, whatever documentation they are preparing, I always say, if I steal anybody's mobile, they will caught me red-handed. But if I steal or kidnap anybody's child, no one can caught me. I can be an unwed mother, I can be a widow, I can be a separated mother, and can surrender that child being an agent of that organization. Court is seeing only documentation. If there is 100 rupees stamp paper relinquishment deed, if there is CWC clearance, CARA clearance and all those things. So paper are made always, and court is taking decision on that paper and not seeing what exactly on the ground. There is a scrutiny agency for the adoptions, but what scrutiny agency is having rights? What they are doing? There is no investigation. Yes, I agree to that, ma'am, who is saying about Child Welfare Committee. So if you will talk about Maharashtra, because I am based in Maharashtra, as per JJ Act, there is a selection committee, and the members of selection committee, which was just notification came up, they were related to adoption agency, and they are going to select all these CWC members. So do you think it's going to be really normal, or they are not going to misuse their powers? So the CWC is more important in this situation, who are going to declare destitute those children, who are going to admit them, then they are going to declare them free for adoption. And CARA, the Central Adoption Resource Authority, is more responsible for all these things, because they are the people who are giving license to Indian adoption agencies, foreign adoption agencies. They are allowing them to come in. They are giving NOC to per child, that each child who is going out of country or who is going in Indian adoption, they are going NOC to them. Are they really checking that child came in the system is really orphan and it's not paper made orphan? So even we showed that there are linkages of nursing homes, and you said this Krishna nursing home. So Krishna nursing home already provided too many children to IMH, this international adoption agency. Cherry Clark was the founder member of that adoption agency, and on that this CARA guidelines came up. So we need to investigate. We requested even Supreme Court to investigate all these adoption agencies, how they are sourcing children. Our issue is sourcing of the children, and it's easiest way to source the children from these poor, vulnerable mothers, poor families, and that's it. And all these children are landed up into these foreign countries, and they are uprooted from our roots.
दिलीप कुमार घोष, आपने सुना अभी विक्रम सिंह ने क्या कहा कि सीआईडी को इन्फ्लुएंस करना बहुत मुश्किल है. पहली बात स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से. दूसरी बात, ही सेड दैट हाई कोर्ट रहती है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट रहती है. अगर आपकी पार्टी के मेंबर्स को लगता था कि ये एक फॉल्स एफआईआर है, दे कुड हैव गॉटन एंटिसिपेटरी बेल, दे कुड हैव अप्रोच्ड अ कोर्ट. अगर आपको लग रहा है कि एविडेंस बराबर सी नहीं है, देयर इज नॉट इनफ एविडेंस अगेंस्ट योर कॉलीग, then there are courts that can be approached. The state government of Bengal is not the dispenser of justice, Mr. Ghosh. in the state of Bengal. And also I want you to respond to what the CPIM representative said on the show, that between the BJP and the Trinamool Congress, because both of you have been caught at different points in these particular instances, that you all are going soft on each other. Mr. Ghosh.
देखिए, मैं इस पार्टिकुलर इशू पर बोल रहा हूँ। पिछले 2-3 साल में 1004 बच्चों का मिसिंग केस FIR हुआ है, एक भी इंक्वायरी नहीं हुआ है, नहीं तो इतना दूर तक नहीं जाती है। तो हम सब जानते हैं पिछले 15 साल से चल रहा है, हजारों बच्चे खो गए। लेकिन जिस पार्टिकुलर केस के बारे में, मेरे पार्टी के बारे में बोल रहे हैं, जो FIR मैंने पढ़ा है, उसमें ना तो कोई कंप्लेन किया है कि मेरा बच्चा खो गया है, ना तो किसी को पकड़ा गया कि इन्होंने खरीदा है, ना तो किसी ने बेचा है। तो किस आधार पर आप ये धारा लगा रहे हैं? मैं FIR के आधार पर बोल रहा हूँ। और जिनका नाम दिया है, ना वो कोई कम्युनिटी में है, ना कोई खरीद फरोख्त में उनका नाम है सस्पेक्टेड। वो उन व्यक्ति के साथ दिल्ली गए थे किसी पैरवी के कारण, ये उनका मानना है CID का, जो इन्होंने ले गए थे सरकारी डिपार्टमेंट के उनको फायदा दिलाने के लिए, एड देने के लिए, इसीलिए उनके नाम पर FIR लगाया गया है। दूसरा कोई घटना में इन्वॉल्व नहीं है, बल्कि उनकी कमेटी में जो है, जो उनकी एडवाइजरी कमेटी में है, ऐसे बहुत लोग हैं पार्टी के साथ जुड़े, TM के साथ, उनका ऊपर कोई केसेस नहीं हुआ
नहीं। दिलीप कुमार घोष, आपने फिर उनको अपने पद से क्यों निकाला? आपने उनके पिताजी को क्यों निकाला पद से? क्या बीजेपी इस पे अलग से इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रही है? अगर आपको लगता है कि CID की इन्वेस्टिगेशन कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड है, तो किसकी इन्वेस्टिगेशन के पर आपकी भरोसा?
CID का चलेगा, उसका जो सत्य है वो सामने आएगा। जुडिशरी के ऊपर पूरा विश्वास हमारा है।
लेकिन FIR तो CID ने लिखा है, अभी FIR तो CID ने दर्ज किया है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन CID की है, अरेस्ट भी CID ने किया है, तो फिर आपको विश्वास नहीं है? अभी
उल्लेख है, आगे इंक्वायरी में क्या हो वो तो आगे होगा। जो FIR उनका ऊपर दर्ज हुआ है उसमें कोई उनका ऊपर और इस प्रकार आरोप नहीं है कि उन्होंने खरीद फरोख्त किया है। संभावना मान करके वो खाली उनके साथ क्यों दिल्ली गए थे, इतना ही उनका ऊपर आरोप है। इसीलिए आगे का
Mr. Ghosh, you removed them from their positions. Isn't that an admission of the risk? Aren't you distancing yourself from these two people? Besides, the FIR that has been written under, they have been charged by Section 370 of trafficking and exploitation, of 420 of cheating, of 468 of forgery. These three
बहुत लोगों का ऊपर ऐसा आरोप है। अभी 2-3 ऑफिसर पकड़े गए हैं, जो चाइल्ड वेलफेयर ऑफिसर वो खुद इसमें इन्वॉल्व है, डॉक्टर इन्वॉल्व है। मैं पर्टिकुलर हमारे कार्यकर्ता के बारे में बोल रहा हूँ जिनका ऊपर कोई आरोप ऐसा नहीं है।
तो फिर उनको क्यों, तो FIR किस चीज के बारे में दर्ज हुआ है, किस IPC के किस सेक्शन पे दर्ज हुआ है FIR? प्लीज आप बता दीजिए मुझे, क्यों आपने FIR पढ़ लिया है।
उनके मालिक चंदना,
why was she absconding? Why was she running away from the country? Why was she going towards the Nepal border? Now one has to be very clear. If everything is innocent about Juhi Chowdhury, why was she planning to what you call flee from the country? She should have submitted herself to the investigating authorities and said what was her role in the entire matter. On the other hand, we see she was fleeing from the country.
कानून की बात ठीक है। अभी 150 लोगों को जेल जाके आया हमारे कार्यकर्ता, उनको हमने किया क्या है, उनको नॉन अवेलेबल अकाउंट दिया जाता है। हमारे स्टेट वाइस प्रेसिडेंट को अभी 15 दिन जेल जाके आया, क्योंकि कोई बोल दिया मेरे से 5 लाख रुपया लिया था, बस।
नहीं, दिलीप घोष 5 लाख रुपए लिया था और ट्रैफिकिंग और एक्सप्लॉयटेशन की सेक्शन 370 के FIR में बहुत फर्क है।
आप लिख दीजिए ना, कोई हमारे यहाँ पुलिस ऐसे लिखते हैं। मेरे पास अभी मेरे अगेंस्ट में 4 अभी हथियार का केस मेरे नाम से दे दिया, कौन मिला नहीं मैं।
Vikram Singh, this is an allegation against the police, that the police will write anything in an FIR. Vikram Singh.
It doesn't happen that way, Faye. Had this been such a weak FIR, the surest thing would have been to move to the High Court and get the FIR quashed, lodge a counter case against the CID under Section 182 of the IPC, had it been so weak. An FIR need not be an encyclopedia or a compendium of information. This is a Supreme Court ruling. It just has to have certain basic details. Other facts and other material will be disclosed during the course of the investigation. So the FIR need not encompass all the facts, but the basic facts have to be there. And had the
FIR have been written saying that they just accompanied them to Delhi, which is what Dilip Ghosh is telling us, Vikram Singh, that this FIR doesn't have anything in it. They accompanied, Juhi Chowdhury accompanied the accused to Delhi. How is that a crime? The crime has been registered under Section 370. Section 370, explain to our viewers what Section 370 is and why it is not a light FIR to be dismissed and taken lightly.
Here it is.
it cannot be dismissed summarily, and this cannot be just the sole case of allegation. Yes, perhaps we need to come out with the true facts. Had it been so weak as it is made out to be, the surest thing, in just one hearing, the High Court would have set aside the FIR, quashed it, and given them bail immediately, and would have ordered a re-investigation of both the cases, this one and 182 of the IPC, by another High Court instituted SIT. But that has not happened. Obviously, there is more information than as we claim that the FIR has. Obviously, there is much more to it than what meets the eye.
दिलीप कुमार जी, दिलीप कुमार घोष, आपने सुना अभी विक्रम सिंह क्या कह रहे हैं?
I would like to say add one thing, because I never saw the FIR, but it's always either child sexual abuse, child trafficking, whatever it is. But police are not adding these children's acts. So there is JJ Act section 80 and 81 clearly talks about child trafficking, sale and buy of children, and there is a punishment and imprisonment as well, which is assigned by JJ Act. But every time in children's issue, they always forgot all the children's acts.
Okay.
So in this FIR, this section 80 and 81 needs to be added, and then this is going to be strong FIR.
दिलीप कुमार घोष, विक्रम सिंह की बात की जवाब दे दीजिए.
देखिए, विक्रम सिंह जी सीनियर पुलिस ऑफिसर रहे, कानून जानते हैं, लेकिन पुलिस कैसे कानून लगाती है ये भी हम जानते हैं. सीआईडी तो कौन सी बात है, सीआईडी तो हमारे घर की है, कुछ भी बोलेंगे धारा लिख देगा, नहीं तो उसको हम सस्पेंड कर देंगे. आप माननीय अमित शाह जी का बात जानते हैं, सीबीआई से लेकर के कितने बड़े बड़े और जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन कंपनी है उनकी नाम पर कितनी धारा लगाई थी, वो बरी हो गए वहां से. तो संगीन धारा था. और सीआईडी तो क्या है, पालतू कुत्ता जैसा काम करता है, और जो भी बोलो लिखवा दो. आप कितना केस चाहिए, आप आइए बंगाल में, अभी 150 लोगों को मैंने बरी किया, रास्ता में झगड़ा हो गया और अटेम्प्ट टू मर्डर दे दिया, उसको चोट भी नहीं लगा है, और अब जमानत लेते जाओ.
Vikram Singh, Dilip Kumar Ghosh has called the CID a faltu kutta of the government. Please respond.
नहीं, वो तो ठीक है, अभिव्यक्त की स्वतंत्रता है, घोष जी कुछ भी कह सकते हैं, और ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई इसका प्रत्युत्तर नहीं सकता, लेकिन शालीनता के पैमाने पर इसका प्रत्युत्तर देना मैं औचित्यपूर्ण नहीं समझता. सेंस ऑफ डेकोरम प्रिवेंट्स मी from answering this, because in such circumstances silence is the best repartee. Now, अगर वाकई मान लिया जाए कि सीआईडी पालतू कुत्ता है, तो पालतू कुत्ते के खिलाफ कार्रवाई करने के लिए आप स्वतंत्र थे. आप 2 मिनट में जाकर के एफआईआर क्वैश करा सकते थे, आपने नहीं किया. आप 182 का मुकदमा कायम करा सकते थे, वो भी आपने नहीं किया. तो इस तरह के की गाली गलौज करके और इस तरह की बातें करने से अच्छा ये होगा, मेरा मशवरा ये होगा कि एक बार हाईकोर्ट में जाकर के एफआईआर क्वैश करा दें, और सीआईडी को जो हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं उसके बारे में एक स्ट्रिक्चर पास करा दें. तो जिन्होंने फर्जी एफआईआर की है उनके विरुद्ध भी कार्रवाई हो जाएगी, कानूनी कार्रवाई हो जाएगी, जिससे कि उनका कैरियर भी खत्म हो सकता है, अगर ऐसी बात है तो. लेकिन अगर ऐसी बात नहीं है तो हमें किसी के ऊपर भी बहुत सोच समझ करके आरोप प्रत्यारोप लगाने चाहिए.
दिलीप घोष, आपने अभी बीजेपी जो आप कह रहे हैं कि सीआईडी फालतू कुत्ता है, तो आपने जाके हाईकोर्ट के पास, जैसे विक्रम सिंह कह रहे हैं, आपने एक्शन क्यों नहीं ली इनके खिलाफ?
देखिए, वो सब होगा कानून का. आज मुझे अंदर कर देंगे 15 दिन के लिए आप, वो मेरे लिए ज्यादा जरूरी है कि केस लड़ना जरूरी है. 150 लोग आज हमारे ऐसे जमानत लेके घूम रहे हैं, 150 कार्यकर्ता, उसमें 12 लोग स्टेट लेवल के हैं. कोई जेल जा चुका है, कोई एंटीसिपेटरी बेल लेके बैठा. मैं खुद कल एंटीसिपेटरी बेल लिया हाई कोर्ट से. ये रोज का मामला है. उन्होंने शायद, वो ऑफिसर थे, उन्होंने जहां कहीं किया होगा, अलग परिस्थिति होगा, कि बंगाल में आइए और देखिए, हजारों लोगों का ऊपर इस प्रकार केस है, और जो विरोधी में रहेंगे उनके ऊपर केस होता है. केवल पुलिस से पॉलिटिक्स होती है यहाँ. आज सीनियर ऑफिसर हमारे ऑल इंडिया जनरल सेक्रेटरी के ऊपर मानहानि का मामला किया है, जो पुलिस कमिश्नर बंगाल के हैं. कोई पुलिस कमिश्नर किसी के ऊपर मानहानि का केस करता है क्या? ये बंगाल में ही संभव है. आप तो बड़े ऑफिसर, आप जानते हैं, आपने कभी किया है किसी के ऊपर? और एक से एक रोज केस हो रहा है यहाँ, और एकमात्र तरीका है दूसरे पार्टी को रोकने
किया नहीं, लेकिन अगर जरूरत पड़ी तो कर भी सकते थे. हालांकि ये तो हर जगह की कार्य और कार्य संस्कृति अलग होती है, लेकिन अगर जरूरत होती है, मैंने भले ही न किया हो, लेकिन मेरे कई सहकर्मियों ने किया है. मानहानि के कई दावे उत्तर प्रदेश में भी हुए हैं. ये बात दूसरी है कि मैंने नहीं किया, लेकिन मेरे कई सहयोगियों ने किया है. और इसके अलावा ऐसी परिस्थितियां दिल्ली में आती, दिल्ली के पुलिस कमिश्नर ने किया है. ये तो देश काल और परिस्थिति के आधार पर यह निर्णय होता है कि मानहानि का दावा किया जाए या न किया जाए. व्यक्तिगत तौर पे मैं ये समझता हूं कि मानहानि का दावा न करके भले ही आप एक सैद्धांतिक एक जीत हो जाए, लेकिन जो उसमें समय और सामर्थ्य का नुकसान होता है वो आवश्यक नहीं है. पुलिस कमिश्नर अगर चाहे तो एक क्राइम भी रजिस्टर करा सकता है, लेकिन अब ये तो केस देखने के बाद मालूम पड़ेगा। लेकिन ये जो आप परिस्थितियां बता रहे हैं, कदाचित अगर आप ये हाई कोर्ट से कह दें कि आपके ऐसे ये जितने भी कार्यकर्ताओं के ऊपर राजनीतिक विद्वेष के कारण मुकदमे फर्जी, fake cases are being registered against political workers, then you can say that all such cases be diverted and transferred to the CBI or to the neighboring state for investigation, as has happened in many other states where it was perceived that it is out of vendetta, it is out of preconceived notions.
But that has not been done, Vikram Singh, that has not been done.
And therefore, a bunch of cases was transferred to a neighboring state.
And I want to bring in Fuad Halim here. Fuad Halim, how do you agree? Do you agree, Fuad Halim? Do you agree with Dilip Ghosh of the BJP, who says that the state has a complete handle on all of its policemen? That the CID, he said, is a pet dog of the state that will do whatever the state government asks. Is that what you agree is happening in the state of Bengal?
The first axiom.
Well, the first thing that
no,
I can tell you is that,
the first axiom
that
that any
Mr. Dilip
government
Ghosh
has some
doesn't
rule on all its
understand
employees,
the character
not
of
only
the
on the
crime
police,
that
but on
has
the
been
CID
perpetrated.
everywhere.
And the character of the crime that has been perpetrated here in West Bengal is that it is an interstate crime and it also has an international dimension. Now, one has to be very clear. The number of children have been sent from Bengal to abroad. And you have passport authorities, those children have definitely had their passports made, the visas have been stamped, and then it's only through a conduit that they have gone abroad. So I think so, if Mr. Dilip Ghosh wants to reduce this entire crime to just the authority of the state of West Bengal, I think so he misses the point. Because the BJP officially has not condemned what has happened in Jalpaiguri, and the TMC has not officially condemned what had happened earlier. Now there is a great degree of commonality of there, which should actually be happening at the government to government level. You know, the TMC government needs to coordinate with the BJP government in the center and actually establish this entire network, which starts maybe from Bengal but goes all across the country and across our national borders into international terrain. So I think so that degree of cooperation is expected, but the degree of cooperation that we are seeing here is that these two political organizations, far from condemning what has happened, are actually trying to save their own backs. Let's be very clear, the crime has been committed, let the crime be investigated thoroughly, let all agencies work together, let the central government and the BJP at the center come across and say that we are going to fully cooperate to allow this investigation to move to its logical conclusion. Let the TMC through the state government and West Bengal say that they are willing to hold the hands of the central agencies and allow to get everybody who's involved with it their due justice. We are not seeing the conversation taking place at that level, which is very unfortunate, and that is what creates a higher degree of concern in me, that this investigation is not going to give justice to the children who have actually lost their parents and the parents who have actually lost their children.
Let me Dilip Ghosh point out to you what section 370 is. Section 370 is the section under which the member of the BJP, Juhi Chowdhury, has been booked. Section 370, viewers, is buying and disposing of any person as a slave or a sexual slave or the forced removal of organs. It attracts rigorous imprisonment of up to 7 years. In case it involves a child, imprisonment of up to 10 years. More than one child, imprisonment of 14 years. Convicted public servants get a life sentence. Dilip Ghosh, this is not a problem to be taken lightly. This is not an accusation that the CID can make out of political vendetta, because the courts will take this section 370 very, very seriously. So, like has been pointed out by many members of this panel, Dilip Ghosh, if you had a problem, if anyone in the state of Bengal felt that this was a false case, why hasn't the High Court or the Supreme Court been approached up till now?
सुनिए, मैंने जो बात बोला कि 1004 बच्चों का मिसिंग का एफआईआर हुआ है पिछले 2-3 साल में, सीआईडी उस समय कहाँ थी? एक केस का अगर इंक्वायरी हो जाता तो इतनी बड़ी घटना, इतना सामाजिक अपराध नहीं होता। ये तो है, सबके मालूम है। पिछले 3 महीना में जब पता चला इतना सारा, अगर 10-15 होम बंद किया गया है, उसमें सरकारी डॉक्टर भी इन्वॉल्व है, गवर्नमेंट के लीडर्स भी, जनप्रतिनिधि भी इन्वॉल्व है। ये तो समस्या है। लेकिन आप जिस घटना के हम चर्चा कर रहे हैं, विशेष घटना जिसमें हमारे लोग इन्वॉल्व बताया जा रहा है, मैं उसके बारे में पर्टिकुलरली बोल रही हूँ। क्यों बिना किसी सबूत पर जो एफआईआर का कॉपी आया उस पर मैंने जो पढ़ा है उस आधार पर मैं बोल रहा हूँ। आरोप क्या है कि उन्होंने उस जो अभियुक्त है उनके साथ दिल्ली क्यों गए थे, इतना ही है और कोई नहीं है, कोई डॉक्यूमेंट नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, एविडेंस नहीं उनके खिलाफ। तो इस आधार पर इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ कि ये पॉलिटिकलाइज हो रही है और इससे हजारों केसेस होती है।
So I refuse to accept that this is being politicized because Section 370, especially when it deals with 14 children, not 1 and 2, 14 children, is not something the CID will take lightly.
Seem to be convincing at all.
It's not convincing, Pooja.
मैं बस एक बात बोलना चाहती हूँ that यहाँ पे जो क्राइम हुआ है इतना बड़ा, जिसमें जो लोग इन बच्चों के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल थे उन्हें पकड़ा गया है, मेरे ख्याल से आप चाहे किस भी पार्टी के हैं, कहीं भी हैं, जो भी आपको दिखता हो, आपको इस क्राइम को रिजॉल्व करने में पार्टनर करना चाहिए। हमें देखना चाहिए कि ये इशू क्या हुआ है। किसी एक आदमी को डिफेंड करने या नहीं करने की ये मामला नहीं है। अगर ये इतना बड़ा रैकेट चल रहा है तो इस रैकेट को बंद कैसे किया जाए, इन लोगों को जस्टिस तक कैसे लिया जाए, दिस शुड बी आवर फोकस as you said, whether the state, the central government, everybody should come together to figure out what this racket was and how do we ensure that you stop it and you unravel it. It does not matter the guilty come from which party or where or who they are. They need to be caught because they are exploiting children. They have sold children, they have destroyed the lives of those children and their parents.
Yeah, I'm worried about this, Vikram Singh. If any case is currently now been turned into a case of political vendetta, largely in the media, by all the parties and all the governments involved, how does that affect the investigation? How does that affect the police officers' abilities to do their job and to see this investigation through?
Not one bit and not 1%. Law does not give a sanction to political vendetta, political differences, personal or otherwise, manipulated or genuine. You may have 1,000 differences, but if you are accused of law, either you are inside the net as per evidence or you are outside the net. If you are inside the net, whatever be the political vendetta, you will be behind bars and you will be convicted. And in spite of everything, if there is no evidence against you, whatever be the case, you will be acquitted in no time. This is a very weak defense which you must have seen with nauseating frequency all across. You saw it in case of Prajapati in Uttar Pradesh, you saw it in case of some other politicians of Karnataka, and you are seeing it now. If a person is accused of murder, what has got to do with the fact that you may be the accused may be of any political hue or color? It is immaterial. The fact remains that a person has committed murder, has committed abductions, is involved in human. That is the end of it. That is the last nail in the coffin, and that is all that what a court of law will look for, irrespective of my pedigree, my birth, my caste, or my political affiliations.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And in fact, we've run out of time on this conversation, but we would expect for the political parties currently involved to come forward to denounce and to remove these people from their parties, to make it very clear that as far as any political party is concerned, Section 370 is absolutely unacceptable. What is the opposition doing in Bengal? What is the state government doing in Bengal? What is the central government doing for us to have reached this problem altogether? Remember, we're talking about buying and selling of human beings, of children, to make matters worse. We don't care if it is a political vendetta. We care that the people behind this entire problem are brought to the book and that their entire chain and pipeline of this marketplace is exposed and busted. And this will not happen until the state government and the central government actually work together to solve that problem. And for as long as they're just pointing fingers and trading blame, that's unlikely to happen. The children must come first. Thanks for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Magicbricks Now. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magicbricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/Magicbricks Now.